We are starting a new chapter now, general principle and processes of isolation of element. We know that in our earth crust there are about 118 elements known, and so far 92 occurs in nature, and while others are our man-made. These elements have been further classified as metals, non-metals, and semi-metals. Most of them occur in the earth crust, generally in the combined state. So these combined state of metal which are present in our earth crust naturally is known as minerals. Minerals are associated with many earthy and rocky impurities which are called gangue or the matrix, and from those minerals from where we can extract the metal profitably and conveniently is known as our ore. We are having so many metals with different ores. For example, copper can be extracted from the copper pyrite, copper galens, and cuprite as an ore. So these may be your sulfide ore or oxide ore. Iron is occur in the form of hematite, magnetite, or iron pyrite. Whereas iron pyrite is your sulfide ore, hematite and magnetite are your oxide ore. Aluminium is present in a form of bauxite, which is an oxide ore. Zinc is present in zinc blende or calamine. Silver is present in the sulfide ore known as argentite, and lead is present in your sulfide form, that is your galena. Now we have to extract the metal from these minerals or from these ore, and the process of extraction of metal from the particular ore is called metallurgy, and four steps are required over here. First one is your crushing and grinding of the ore. Second one is your concentration of the ore. Third one is your isolation of the ore. And the fourth one is your purification and refining of the ore. In crushing and grinding of the ore which is obtained from mining is in the form of big lumps of soil and mud. These are broken into small pieces with the help of the crushers and then converted into fine powder. This process of converting the big lumps of soil or mud into fine powder is known as pulverization of the ore. Then, after this crushing of the big lumps of the ores into small fine powders, we have to concentrate the ore, and concentration of the ore is done by removing the impurities called gangue, and this is done by the number of ways. For example, hand picking. The process of impurity, the ores and the impurities are of different shape and size in this process. Then there is gravitation separation, which is also known as levitation. In this process, the gangue impurities are lighter than the ore and can be removed by washing with the stream of running water. The heavier ore particles settle down. This process is also known as levitation. The third process is your froth flotation process, and this process is used for removing gangue from your sulfide ores of certain metals like copper pyrite, galena, zinc blende. Based on the difference in the wetting qualities of the gangue and the sulfide ore, particles with the water and oil means gangue particles are wetted by water, whereas the sulfide particles are wetted by oil. Where they are wetted by oil, and in this case the impure crushed ore is taken into the big tank and a suspension is made. This tank is provided with a partition, and an oil such as pine oil, fatty acid, or ganthies are added to this suspension, and an emulsion is formed. Gangue particles remain suspended in the water. Air is blown into the tank and there is a paddle. This paddle is agitated. The whole mixture is agitated with this paddle. As a result, the froth is formed. The froth, being lighter in weight, moves up, rises up along with the ore particles, which can be skimmed off, and ore can be recovered separately by the suitable method. Then there is a role of activators in froth flotation process. Activator is a substance which help to increase the floating characters of the ore. Zn has poor floating character Its floating character can be improved by adding CuSO4, which provides CuS that forms a coating on the surface of ZnS. Role of deprecient in the fraud flotation process. What happens sometime a mixture of two sulfides or may present together. In such cases, some chemicals are needed which reduces the formation of fraud with one particular ore and enhance its formation with the other ore. These are called depreciants. For example, ZnS and PbS can be separated from each other by adding small amount of NaCN. It reacts with ZnS to form soluble complex and prevent it from getting into the fraud. In this way, we can separate ZnS and PbS. Then there comes the magnetic separation, and it is used if either the ore or the impurities are magnetic in nature. Here we have taken the rollers which are provided with the magnet, and a conveyor belt or the leather belt is placed between the two rollers. Ore is introduced in it, and when the leather belt moves around these rollers, the magnetic impurities or the magnetic particles will be attracted by the magnet and they will fall just below the roller, whereas the non-magnetic particles will be fall away from the rollers. In this way, we can separate the two gangways from the ore which are magnetic in nature. Leaching or the chemical separation is another method for the concentration of the ore. Impure ore is treated with suitable reagents such as acid or base. When the ore particles dissolve in it as a result of the chemical reaction, and this process is known as your leaching. Whereas the gangway impurities does not react with these reagents, and they are present in the solution, the ore can be recovered later on. So here I have given you the leaching of alumina from the bauxite ore. We know that bauxite is our aluminum oxide. When they are treated with any alkali NaOH, a soluble complex has been formed of this Al. Along with this bauxite, some of the impurities like silica also reacts with NaOH alkali, and they form sodium silicate Na2SiO3. Now this from this solution contain two mixtures. One is the soluble complex and another one is the sodium silicate. When we pass carbon dioxide through the solution, and this process is known as seeding, only the soluble complex get precipitated out, whereas the sodium silicates remain in the solution. In this way, this precipitate is then heated to a temperature of 1470 Kelvin, and a pure ammonia oxide is formed. As a result, a pure concentrated aluminum ore is obtained. Next one is our leaching of gold. In this case, the impure metal gold is treated with sodium cyanide to form a soluble complex, and this soluble complex is then treated with zinc. Zinc being more reactive than gold, it displaces gold from the soluble complex, and in this way the gold is precipitated out. During this process, there is an oxidation of gold to Au positive ion in the complex formation, which is then again converts into gold by reacting with the complex with zinc metal. Now again, here we are having the leaching of silver. Silver comes in the argentite form, and again the sodium cyanide is treated, which form AgCN precipitate. This AgCN precipitate is treated again with NaCN to form the soluble complex. This soluble complex again treated with Zn to form Na2ZnCN whole twice, and Ag is precipitated out. So in this way, we have concentrated ore, and now this concentrated ore has to be converted into the metal. There are two steps in converting this concentrated ore to metal. First one is that the concentrated ore has to be converted into its oxide form, and second one is that the conversion of oxide to its metallic form. So concentrated ore is converted into its oxide form in two ways. First one is calcination and the second one is roasting. Calcination is done in the carbonate ores, and the process of heating the ore below its melting point in the absence of air is known as your calcination process. In this, all the carbonate ore, ZnCO3, PbCO3, CaCO3, all are heated and they converts into ZnO, PbO, CaO. So metal oxide has been formed. And roasting is the process of heating the ore below its melting point with excess of air. So here the sulfide ore are taken in the roasting process. They are heated in the presence of oxygen. As a result, metal oxides is formed and our sulfur dioxide is liberated out. So this roasting or calcination process is done in our laboratory furnaces. Here are the flames or the heating chamber. This is the heart where the ore has been kept. These are the air vents, and during the process of calcination, these air vents are closed. So when we heat it, the heat flames, the heat passes through these ores and they can combine in the presence or absence of air as the process is, and they convert this ore into your metal oxide. The roasting and calcination process has to be taken below its melting point, because otherwise, what will happen? The ore will also change to the liquid state and then to the vapor state and get mixed with the volatile impurities. So always remember, roasting and calcination process has to be taken below its melting point. And here we take sulfide ores of metals are not directly reduced to metallic form. The, these are first converted to the oxide form and then reduced to the metal. This is because it is easy to reduce the metal oxide and not metal sulfides or metal carbonates. Sometimes the non-fusible earthy gangue impurities are still present in the roasted ore. In order to remove them, flux is added during the smelting process. So this flux is a chemical substance which reacts with the gangue to form a fusible mass, and this fusible mass is known as slag. The so this chemical substance which combined with gangue is known as flux, and the product which is formed after the combination is known as slag. We are having two type of fluxes. One is our acidic flux and the second one is our basic flux. Acidic flux, if the impurities are basic in nature, then we use the chemical substances which are acidic in nature. And if the impurities are your acidic in nature, then we will use the substances, chemicals which are basic in nature. Therefore, they are known as basic flux. So impurities can be anything, and your flux may be any chemical compound which is combining with that impurities. Now the oxide form has to be converted into metallic form, and this can be done by reducing the metal oxide by certain reducing agent to convert it into metallic form. And the process of reducing a metal oxide by heating with coke or any other reducing agent is known as your pyrometallurgy. That is your pyrometallurgy, and in this case we can consider our uh, physical chemical consideration with the help of the concept called standard free Gibbs energy. And according to the thermodynamic, the feasibility of any reaction or process is expressed in the form of Gibbs-Helmholtz equation. And under standard condition of temperature and pressure, it is your delta G naught equal to delta H naught minus T delta S naught, whereas H is your enthalpy here and delta S is your entropy here. According to the thermodynamic, feasibility of any reaction is expressed in the term of your delta G. If delta G is negative, this means that reaction will be feasible and that one the chemical substance can reduce the metal oxide to metallic form. These now we can explain which substance can be taken as a reducing agent, and that can be done by the Langham's diagrams, and these are the graphs which are represented by the various of standard free energy with temperature of the formation of oxide of various element. Delta H naught does not vary much with rising temperature. Delta S naught decreases since metal oxides are solid and delta S is negative. So rise in temperature, T delta S factor becomes more negative. We all know that. This is the Langham's graph, and according to this Langham's graphs, you can see here that the curves for the formation of the metal oxide always slopes upward. So here these all are the metal oxides formation showing the graph, and these all are in a upward direction. If you are in the downward direction, we will explain it later on, but mostly more in the formation of metal oxide, the curves always slope upward because delta G naught increases with rise in temperature. In some curves, there are sudden change in the slope. Can you see here? In some curves, there are sudden change in the slope, right? This is the sudden change in the slope, and this happens at the melting point or boiling point temperatures of these oxides where there is a large change in the magnitude of delta S naught. That is, it's become highly negative. Consequently, delta G naught will become highly positive. Therefore, there is a sudden change in their values. For metals like silver and mercury, can you see here silver and mercury? The delta G naught value is exceeds zero value. The delta G naught value exceeds zero value. That is, they are about to become a positive at higher temperature. This means that both silver oxide and mercury oxide decomposes of their own at higher temperature and no reducing agents are required. In Langdon's diagram, the curve for the formation of CO shows downward trend. Can you see here? Hmm. Formation shows a downward trend. This is quite expected because delta S naught tends to increase during the reaction as is evident from the chemical equation. Therefore, delta G naught is likely to become more negative with a rise in temperature. From all these graphs, we came to know that any metal oxide with lower delta G naught, any metal oxides with lower delta G naught value is more